Namaskarams to all the Astikas of this beautiful city of Sydney. The topic chosen for today is Dasavatharam and the learnings from Dasavatharam. Though there are innumerable avatars, you still have top 10 avatars. You know, there used to be a great Bhagavatottama Stri called Pepsi Uma. So she used to give top 10 songs. When it says top 10 songs, it doesn't mean there are only 10 songs in the world. But these are the chosen 10. When did Matsya happen? And what is the teaching for us? Why did he choose the fish? Every time the Lord is reclining on his serpent couch, Adisesha, he keeps looking at Mahalakshmi. He's so inspired of her looks because Mahalakshmi's glances will ensure only prosperity. Yasyam yasyam dishi viharate devi drishtistvadiya tasyam tasyam ahamahamikam dhanvatehe sampadogaha. If she looks at someone, all the stock value will go high. So Mahalakshmi's eye glances spread and give only mercy. So the Lord used to keep looking at her. When he used to look at her eyes, he sensed that her eyes were like the fish. Her eyes were like the fish. The Parvati Devi whom we revere in Madurai, she is called Meenakshi. Madura Puri Nilaye Mani Valaye Malaya Dhwaja Pandya Raja Tanaye Vidhu Vidambana Vadane Vimale Veena Vadana dasA kriye madhumuda modita hridaye sadaye mahadeva sundaresha priye madhuru murari pusodari shatodari vidhi guru guhava shankari mi Nakshi. In Lalita Sahasranamam, you get the nama Kadamba Vanavasini, Meenalochana. So the mother fish has one great attribute. She can nourish her little children just by looking at them. குழந்தைலாம் பசிக்கிறதுன்னு சொல்லுது பாருடா என்ன வயிறு ரொம்பிடும். இந்த யோகாம்பாள் சுந்தர பார்க்கறது, ஹெப்பார் கிச்சனை பார்க்கறது, ஹேமா சுப்பிரமணியம், எங்க ஊர்ல ஒருத்தர் நெய்லியே தெளிக பண்ணுவார், வெங்கடேஷ் பட்டுன்னு பேர். இவன் மேல கொஞ்சம் தூக்கி போடுங்க, எண்ணெயை போடுங்க, நெய்யை போடுங்க, இதை பார்த்தா என்ன கிடைக்கும்? வைகுண்டம். வைகுண்டம் புகுவது மன்னவர் விதியே. So we look at all these. Why? There used to, first the Prathamacharya of all these cooks was a lady called Mallika Badrinath. ஞாபகம் இருக்கா மாமி? எல்லாம் எனக்கு தலையாட்டுறா. So she started, now they will all say, பிள்ளைங்க ஸ்கூல் லேன் வந்தா இதை பண்ணி போடுங்க. But mother fish doesn't have to do that. She just has to look at the children. They'll ஏப்பம் விட்டுரும் எல்லாம். So fish, Matsya, indicates that the Lord's eye glances alone will suffice for our nourishment. That is why that learning from this avatara is when you serve food to the Lord in your very own house, in Tamil there is a word, Kandaruludal. The Lord blesses by just looking at your prasadam. He will not eat. If he eats, we will not keep. அது ஒன்று சாப்பிட்டுடுறாரு நான் இவர் சாப்பிட மாட்டாருங்கிற நம்பிக்கையில் தானே வைக்கிறோம். சாப்பிட்டு தொலைகிறது இது. ஸோ we place it to receive his grace. பார்வை ஒன்றே போதுமே. So the Lord was inspired of Mahalakshmi's grace-filled and benign blessings-filled eyes that were akin to that of a fish, a healthy fish. He kept looking at her. He was inspired of the eyes. Now he had to incarnate to ensure that the Vedas are restored. He kept looking at her eyes, which were like the fish. So he became the fish, says Vedanta Deshika. Nirmagna Shrutijala Marganadasha. So he was born as the fish. So Matsya Avataram. Next comes Kurma. Vedanta Deshika says the learning from tortoise is vihAra-kacchapa. What is the learning from tortoise? Kurma-avataram. Vihara. Be playful. What is the lesson for us, sir? You should take life not too seriously. Some people are like that. நேத்து வரைக்கும் நன்னா இருந்தது, உபன்யாசத்துக்கு வந்துட்டேன் பாருங்க. கவலைப்படாதீங்க, நாள்னிலேருந்து இருக்கார். 2 நாள் தான், கஷ்டமும் வந்துட்டு போயிடும். 2 நாள்ல வந்துட்டு போயிடும். Should always be jolly. When I used to start giving lectures in 2011, people were not very accepting of my style. இவர் எதுக்கு ஜோக் அடிக்கிறார், இவர் எதுக்கு பேசுறார், சீரியஸாக பேசணும். சீரியஸாக இருக்குது. ரொம்ப உபன்யாசத்துக்கு வந்திருக்கோமா, ஒருத்தரோட ஆற்றுல 10வது சுபஸ்வீகாரத்துக்கு வந்திருக்கோமான்னு தெரியக்கூடாது. துக்கமாக எல்லாரும் அப்படியே ஒரே சீரியஸாக உக்காந்துட்டு போகும்போது விசாரிச்சுட்டு போய் ஆற்றுல குளிச்சுட வேண்டியது தான். A lecture, see, Sanatana Dharma is a very, very colorful civilization. It has music, it has dance, it has architecture, it has hasyam, it has natyam. A lecture should bring various aspects and facets of the society together. சீரியஸாக சொல்லணும், புக்கில் இருக்கிறதையே சொல்லணும்பா, அதுக்கு புக்கே கொடுத்துட்டு போயிடலாமே. நீங்கள் போய் புக்கில் படிங்க சார் ஆற்றுல. So, vihAra-kacchapa, the Lord shows that life should be very entertaining and playful. We should make it. Third comes Varaha-avataram. There is a belief, as stated by Paramacharya of Kanchi, that the 13th shloka of the 8th dashakam in Narayaniyam is to be recited. Asmin paratman nanupadma kalpe tvam utthamitthapita padmayonihi. So there is a mention. And Paramacharya stated this shloka, 13th shloka, 8th dashakam of the compendium of 1036 shlokas called Narayaniyam, specifically if there are patients unfortunately suffering from cancer. Why? When we have cells in our human body, certain cells, because every second we have birth of millions of cells, death of millions of cells. But when cells are produced or born, there could be many, many cells which are damaged cells. Such damaged cells should not stay in our body. That is when there is a process called apoptosis, which says programmed cell death. So the cell will command itself, you are a damaged cell, kill yourself. When it doesn't get killed, such damaged cells get together as a tumor. So the cell which is damaged should die. But if it doesn't, then it causes the problem. So marshes, the marshy lands denote dosham, like the damaged cell. But when you think of the Lord's attributes, like how a lotus which is bereft of blemishes is born from the marshes, so will little hope come by reciting this shloka. So Paramacharya said, recite this shloka. So Varaha also gives hope to those people who are suffering from ailments. This is Varaha-avataram. Next comes the grandest of avatarams, short and sweet, Nrisimha-avataram. You can never be judgmental. You can never decide the future or the nature of a child based on their parents. Never do that. If Ravana abducted Sita, his youngest brother Vibhishana is the greatest of devotees. Parama bhagavata mauni varashashi vibhakara sanaka sanandana digisha surakim PurushA kanaka-kashipu suta narada tumburu pavana sunu balachandradhara shuka saroja bhava bhusura varulu parama pavanulu ghanulu shashvatulu kamala bhava sukhamu sada nubhava mugakayandaro manubhavulu. Tyagaraja, the great saint poet, gives a list of all the Bhagavatas. Parama Bhagavata Mauni, Vara, Shashi, Vibhakara, Sanaka, Sanandana, Digisha, Surakim PurushA, Kanaka-kashipusuta, Narada, Tumburu, Pavanasunu, Balachandradhara, Shuka, Saroja Bhava, Bhusura Varulu, Parama Bhava. So he gives a list. Ramanuja said in Nrisimha-avataram, the pillar insentient gave rise to Nrisimha, sentient. The sentient Nrisimha used his insentient nails to tear open, so logic cannot be always applied to Paramatma. So that is another message. In the 5th avatara is Vaahana. See, in the Telugu, Maharashtrian and Kannada marriages, there is one paddhati where between the bride and the groom there is a screen drawn. So, till the Purohita says the boy cannot see the girl, then they will take the screen. Sita was bent upon seeing Rama. She wanted to see Rama. But Madhyalo, there was a Yavanika in their marriage, the screen drawn. So she tells Rama, I've been waiting this long to see you. Who has placed this Marugu? Marugu, yelara o Raghava. Marugu yelara. Adi oka shabdam, Marugelara. Marugela chara chara rupa. Marugela chara rupa. Marugu, that screen is what the Lord drew between him and Bali. So Mahalakshmi was covered. So he goes to the Yajna-vatika. When the Lord measured the worlds, where was Bali? Marsler in that server. He was on earth. So when the Lord measured the earth, he measured the earth that was inclusive of Bali. So technically for the third measure, Bali couldn't have re-offered himself. Correct? See, I've told people many a times there is a difference between a music concert and an upanyasam. In a music concert, first they will switch off your lights. Unga bakka irukka light ella anuchuruva. And paadravaalum romba maha vidwangal kannu moodin paadiduva. Vata viganavathum bhaje illada violin paathu chiripa inga paathu chiripa. I have nobody here. I have to keep looking at you. So only with your interaction I can go. If it is one way, I find it very tough. So here, he couldn't have offered himself again. But then Bali said, Oh Lord, I find no other solution. Put your holy lotus-like foot on my head. Correct? But the Lord too agreed and put. Then what happened to this rule? That is where we need to get a learning from this avatara. The Lord did not measure Bali, but he measured Bali's ahankaram. Why? See, I'm sure there are elderly people here as well. 40, 50 years before, 60 years before, marriages couldn't be conducted in the grandiose fashion that we do it today. I don't know if you've seen a typical Sri Vaishnava invitation. It will be bright yellow on one side, bright pink on the other side. I don't know whichever Savyasachi gave that color combination. So, it will be written, Srimad Vedamarga Pratishthapanacharyarai Shanta Shamadamadi Asankheya Kalyana Gunangal Sampurnarai எழுந்தருளிருக்க கூடிய சுவாமியின் சந்நிதியில் அடியேன் தாளும் தடக்கையும் கூப்பிச்செய்யும் விஞ்ஞாபனம் உபய குஷலோபரி க்ஷேமம் ஐயம்பேட்டை ராஜகோபால ஐயங்காரின் திரௌஹித்ரனும் வளையப்பேட்டை ராமய்யங்காரின் பௌத்திரனும் அடியேனுடைய கனிஷ்ட குமாரனுமான அபர்யாப்தாமிருதன் என்கின்ற நித்தினுக்கு நமக்கு நித்தினை தான் தெரியும், அபர்யாப்தாமிருதன் நித்தினுக்கே தெரியாது. Then on the other side we give apita kuchambon என்கின்ற நிஷாவிற்கு please come for the marriage, we say. So in 60 years back, when you go house after house and submit, and technically houses were cheaper by the dozen, you had at least 10-12 people in a house. There will be 3 daughters married to their respective husbands, and the 3 sons-in-law will be staying in the house. Navagrahame vendna. Aathile moonu ukandundirukku. So they had to go give the invitation, and then you have to say, we have a marriage in our house, all of you should come. They'll give one invitation and go. Most of it was handwritten, no printing. They'll say, please come, all of you should come. After they leave, will begin the discussion in the house. Then they'll say, yarallam pola maple, oh my dear Jamata, will you come? Na varale. Ellariyum koopta, enna kooptala? He called everybody, right? He said, please come all of you. He said all of you. Did he specifically tell me? That is ahankaram. When the Lord measured the worlds, Bali thought, he has measured the worlds. I was not measured. That I in him was the third step. Ahankaram. So the teaching is, ahankaram beyond a certain point will be a big deterrent to your spiritual understanding. icchA-meena vihAra-kacchapa mahA-pOthrin yadhrucchA-harE rakshA-vAmana. He is there to protect everyone. rakshA-vAmana. Rakshatvam. Rakshanatvam is the ability or the USP of Vamana. Next comes Parasurama. There are 2 kinds of avatars, Mukhya-avataram, amukhya-avataram. Mukhya-avataram is called Purna-avataram, complete avataram. Rama and Krishna avatarams are complete avatarams, where the Lord is Rama, where the Lord is Krishna. But there are amukhya-avatarams. There are avataras where the Lord isn't born as himself. He chooses one Jivatma like one of us and induces one of his qualities, so that avatara will stand out from the rest but still will have many flaws. So Balarama avataram, Parasurama avataram, they are all amukhya avataram, apurna avataram. When it is an apurna avatara, it will always suffer defeat at the hands of Purna avatara. That is why Parasurama's Garvabhangam happened at the hands of Rama. Dinakaranvayatilakam divya gadhi suta savana vanarachita subahu mukha vadam ahalya pavanam anagham icchA-meena bhangam janaka suta pranesham ghana kupita bhrugurama garvaharamita saketam. Kupita bhrugurama garvarahita. So that Bhrugurama, Bhargavarama, Parasurama's garvam was brought to an end by Rama. So Apurna avataram, which is Parasurama, will suffer defeat at the hands of Purna avataram Rama. So after Parasurama, we have Rama avataram. Sita was assaulted by the crow, Kaka, and next to Sita was standing Rama. Rama wanted to annihilate this bird, but he didn't. He just took one eye out of it. Adan kannai aruttadum or adayalam. He just took one eye. Why didn't he kill Sir? Because he had Sita next to him. Without Sita, there is no Ramayanam. That is why Valmiki, after registering his manuscripts with the Gazette of India as Ramayanam, wonders, I made a grave mistake. I should have called it Sitayanam, Sitayas Charitam Mahat. It looks superficially that Rama's greatness is mentioned. But when you go deep is when you realize it is all Sita throughout in Ramayanam, karuNA, kAkthsTa. Next is hElAhalin. hElAhalin, which is Balarama. Balarama, the message of Balarama avataram is to be playful, like Kurma avataram. But there is an unlearning that we have to do. As per some of the shlokas in Sri Mahabharatam and Bhagavatam, Balarama also had unmatam. Unmatam means intoxicated by varuni, liquor. Balarama avataram, he had good things, but Apurna avataram, he also had flaws. Bar at law. So after Balarama avataram comes the greatest of avatarams. Sarvopanishado gavaha dugdha gopala nandanaha partho vatsaha sudhihi bhokta dugdham gitamritam mahat. Yashoda enjoyed that vatsalyam with Krishna. But Krishna had this habit of never consuming the butter that was churned from his house. He will only go to the next house. So he used to go break their pots. We have heard of all that Navanita Chauryam. But there's an element here. Now when Yashoda one day wanted to reprimand her son, she started chasing him. Krishna too ran. At one point in time, he met one person whose business was to sell curds. He was called Dadhi Bhanda. His name was Dadhi Bhanda. He used to carry a pot, bhandam, filled with dadhi. So he was called Dadhi Bhanda. So Dadhi Bhanda had done his fair share of selling the curds that day. So Krishna said, my mother is chasing Dadhi Bhanda. Please protect me, Dadhi Bhanda. So Dadhi Bhanda said, don't worry, Krishna. He poked 2 holes in that pot. He said, Krishna, hide within this. I will invert this. So Krishna was within that Dadhi Bhandam. There was little smell, that's okay. Now he was within that Bhandam. Yashoda came, Dadhi Bhanda, did you see my son Krishna? Dadhi Bhanda was holding the pot and he was hitting on it. No, Yashoda, I didn't see him. Krishna is looking through those holes. Yashoda went further. Then Krishna knocked at that pot and said, Dadhi Bhanda, thank you, release me. Dadhi Bhanda said, no, I will not release you. What did I do, Dadhi Bhanda? You have to give me something, then only I'll release you. Okay, Dadhi Bhanda, what do you want? Moksham. That state from which there is no return. அது என்னது, அது கருப்பாடு போச்சே, அது என்னது, பாபா பிளாக் ஷீப். Baba black sheep, Baba black sheep, you have to by heart that first. First they'll say, Baba black sheep சொல்லி காமி மாமாக்கு. அதுக்கே நரகம் கிடைக்கும், சொன்னதுக்கே நரகம். Then 2 people went up the hill and one came down. அது யார் அது? அது உருண்டு உழுந்துருத்து ஒன்று. ஜாக் அண்ட் ஜில் வெண்ட் அப் த ஹில். அது ஏதோ திருவாராதனத்துக்கு தண்ணி எடுக்கணும்னு போச்சு, அது கீழே உழுந்துருச்சு அசடு. ஜாக் அண்ட் ஜில் வெண்ட் அப் த ஹில். இன்னொன்று குட்டி ஷவர்லேருந்து உழுந்துருச்சு. யார் அது? அம்டி டம்டி. எல்லாருக்கும் தெரியுது பாருங்க. We spent our childhood learning all of this. Had we at least alongside this concentrated little on our Vedas, we would have been better individuals. Somehow we felt learning that was, no, Baba black sheep கட்டண்டா எவ்வளோ புண்ணியம் தெரியுமா சார்? பாஷ்யக்காரர் எடுத்திருக்கார். அவ்வளோ பாபா பிளாக் ஷீப் தெரிஞ்சால் அவ்வளோ வசத்தியான ஆடாது, கருப்பாக இருந்து தான் கிருஷ்ணா ஜனிகாம் கிருஷ்ணதாபஹராம் அப்படின்னு கண்ணங்கரேல்னு இருக்கான் அந்த ஆடு. அது 3 பேருக்கு பங்கு கொடுத்துதான் அதோட உள்ள ஆசடு. So we learned that. Then we'll go to elementary school. Shoot system, root system. Then middle school. Then high school. Then while we are in 8th or 9th, while I was in 8th or 9th, somebody came and asked me, what are you planning to do? My grandmother said, engineer. யார் அவோ இல்லை, நான் பண்ணணுமா? You will be flunking in maths, but 8 cousins of yours have become engineer. So you have to mahajano yena gatisya panthaha, you have to walk the same path trod by your ancestors. Vyasam vasishtanaptaram shaktev pautram parasharatmajam nanum engineer poren. Then while you are in your 2nd year of engineering, you realize that you're not meant for it. 3rd, 4th you finish. Then you take up to MBA in finance. இங்க படிச்சது thermodynamics, சம்பந்தமே இருக்கக்கூடாது. MBA in finance. Then you realize 3 levels of CFA. Then after that the person realizes, no, PhD in colonial literature. Then upanyasam. So the point is, punarapi jananam punarapi maranam punarapi janani jathare shayanam iha samsare bahudustare kripaya pare pahi murare bhaja govindam Govindam bhaja mudhamate. So, same cycle. That state where you seek an exit from this vicious cycle of birth and death is moksha. And this man, doing a mundane job of selling curds in this unknown hamlet of Gokulam, knew that Krishna was the one who can grant moksha. So Krishna asked, Dadibhanda, how did you know that I give moksha? Moksha, our north இல்லையா? மோக்ஷம்லாம் சொல்லப்படாது. அவர் வியாசம் என்ன, சாந்தாக்கார், புஜுக் ஷயன், பத்மநாப், சுரேஷ், விஸ்வாதார், ககன் சதிஷ், அட்டெண்டன்ஸ் தான். So how do you know? तुम्हें कैसे पता चला कि मैं मोक्ष देता हूँ? That is when he said, I listen to upanyasams. Dadibanda, helpful. In Shastram it is said, when there is an avataram, in their fingerprint, you know, there is one technique in Tamil Nadu called Nadi Josiyam. They will always take your thumb print, impression. In that, for an avatara, there will be Shankha Chakra Lanchanam. When you observe, you know, they use in forensics, right? You take that fingerprint, zoom and see, you will see Shankham and Chakram. It is called Shankha Chakra Rekhankita. So this man, when he would have sold curds to Krishna, would have got that curd impression. There he must have heard an upanyasam that the one with the Shankha Chakra Mudra is avatara. So he must have said, Krishna, give me moksha. Then only I'll release you. Krishna said, okay, I will give you moksha towards the end of the janma. I will not release you, Krishna. Jadibanda, I promised you, no? You have to give moksham for my vessel as well. This Bhandam has stayed with me all along. Only the Jivatma is entitled for moksham. You have to leave your body and go. When you have to leave your body and go, of what use is this ghatam? But again, you cannot apply logic to Paramatma. If he wishes, he will give moksham even to the bhanda. He said, using my power in Article 34F and 54B, I hereby invoke my special powers of giving moksham even to this Dadi Bhandam. That is why our Acharyas state, whenever we go to moksham, moksham போகும்போது வைகுண்டத்துக்குள்ள நுழைவே இல்லையா, உள்ள போனோம்னா left hand side ஒரு showcaseல you will have this pot. That day when you go, when you see it in Vaikuntham, remember this day. அன்னைக்கு சொன்னார், 2-3 பேரா சிட்னிலேருந்து போறேன்னு வச்சுங்கோ, அவர் சொன்னார் ஞாபகம் இருக்க, பானை இருக்கும்னு சொன்னார், அப்படின்னு ஞாபகம் வச்சுங்கோ இல்லையா, அந்த நாள் அசோக் ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோ. ஸோ kreeDA-vallava, even as an act of play, he gives moksham. Kalka Vaahana dasha, in Sanskritam, kalka shabdam, Shvetashvarnam babuva. White horse is called kalka. So the one who stands on kalka is called Kalki. So each avatara has plethora of teachings, plethora of learnings for us. But Dasavatharam just focuses on this. That said, we have Dasavatara Stotram by Vedanta Deshika that celebrates. There is a Dasavatara Stotram in Madhva Sampradaya. Madhva Sampradaya Sishyaru idara illi? Madhva Sampradayadallu ಒಂದು ದಶಾವತಾರ ಸ್ತೋತ್ರ ಇದೆ. ಶ್ರೀ ವೈಷ್ಣವ ಸಂಪ್ರದಾಯದಲ್ಲಿ we have ವೇದಾಂತ ದೇಶಿಕ ಸ್ತೋತ್ರ ರಚನೆ பண்ணியிருக்கார். ஆழ்வார் எடுத்திருக்கார். ஆழ்வார் talks about avatars. மீனோடு ஆமை கேழல் அரி குரலாய் முன்னுவிராமனாய் தானாய் பின்னுவிராமனாய் தாமோதரனாய் கற்கியுமானான். ஆழ்வார் talks about தசாவதாரம். We have one Mangalam by Purandaradasa Amma Kutake Mangalam Matsya-avatarake Kukshike Mangalam. So you have Dasavatara Mangalam. So Dasavatara is extremely famous and prominent. Dharma, Sanatana Dharma is a binding force, because people ask me, are you traveling abroad for conversion? I said yes. For whom? I said to convert Hindus as Hindus. That is the first task. I don't have to go anywhere. In our own tradition, we should know the depth of our scriptures. How much our acharyas, without any copyright, selflessly have toiled for us. Nothing they had. When we sing Tyagaraja Kritis, do we give 1 rupee to Tyagaraja? We become rich. And later we will also abuse him by putting lungi. That is a different thing. But they were such selfless people. Not 1 rupee goes to them. They wanted to only propagate bhakti. Alvars, Acharya, Shankara, Ramanuja, Madhva, Deshika, Mamunigal. What a rich past we had. Janaki Kanta Smaranam Gopika Jeevana Smaranam. Namaskaram.
Oh, Kandipa. Okay. Thank you. Bye. Have a safe trip, Swami.